走り出せ走り出せ空高く鳩と差し
Hi guys, it's Wasabifold here with another One Piece theory for you, and today we are going to be discussing my matchup for Franky in the Blackbeard Pirates, which is versus Avalo Pizarro. Now this is a very common matchup, I must say, and I'm glad it is, but I'm going to bring, I think, a different perspective as to why I think Avalo Pizarro will fight Franky, and there are several reasons for it. In my opinion, Avalo Pizarro is a very strong physical fighter, and you always look for that in a Franky opponent. Someone who can give him a run for his money when it comes to his physical strength. And by the end of the series, I'm expecting Franky to be an incredibly strong cyborg, probably the strongest cyborg in the world. And more on that later, more on the improvements that he can make later. But for Avalo Pizarro, just looking at his design, he is a very physically strong person, probably the most physically fit level 6 prisoner. He's not as big as Vasco Shot, but he's also a lot more toned. Vasco Shot has that very bulbous type Oda design, whereas Avalo Pizarro is very muscular. If you look at his chest, you can see he has very strong muscles, a very strong body is hiding under there, and I think this is the kind of guy who could give Franky that physical challenge. But beyond that, there is the mystery of his hands. Now, a lot of people like to peg him with the tunnel fruit, with the idea that he was the one that created level 5.5 and Impel Down. I personally don't see this. I don't think the evidence is strong enough that this is anywhere near a certainty. For me, it's just a stab in the dark, mainly because it's built on the idea that he was the only one of the level 6 prisoners to not be wearing prison clothes, and he also has that mystery surrounding his arms. But for me, I think that mystery surrounding his arms points more to what kind of person he is. I think Avalo Pizarro is at least a partial cyborg. Probably not to the extent of Franky, where his entire body was rebuilt, but I think his arms at least, and several other key elements of his design point to some kind of artificiality. You know, those gauntlets that are around his arms are, or could be his arms. They're metallic in nature, but also his horns on the side of his head. Those are not reminiscent of, you know, characters that we've seen who have horns, like Kaido or Oars. Their horns are clearly natural and they're growing out of their head. For Avalo, his are very straight, they're very weird, and if you actually look at the base, they seem to be affixed to his head by some kind of bolt or screw-in kind of contraption. His horns don't look natural at all, and I think this is because Avalo Pizarro likes to do mechanical cybernetic enhancements on his own body. To what extent, we do not know. If Oda will take it even further and have him be more cyborg by the end of the series, we'd have to see his post-time skip look to decide that for ourselves. But I think Avalo Pizarro is part cyborg. So those are the two main things that key you into him potentially fighting Franky. But I think Avalo Pizarro has an even stronger power. I do not actually think he is just a cyborg. I actually believe Avalo Pizarro is probably going to be very unique in the One Piece world. I can't see this combination coming up, but I believe Avalo Pizarro is a cyborg zone type devil fruit user, because there are some strong indications in his character design that point to a very animalistic type persona. Let's just look at him again. He has cat-like eyes, he has whiskers, he has feline-looking teeth, he has a hair that looks sort of like a mane, he has some leopard skin coats. You know, these are very cat-strong themes. He even speaks with a nya, sometimes finishing off his sentences, which is the Japanese way of pronouncing a meow of a cat. Basically, Avalo Pizarro screams of a very animalistic type persona. When you look a little bit deeper into some of his dialogue, he's always challenging the position of Blackbeard, saying that he should take over the crew. This seems like someone who is trying to establish themselves as an alpha male, which is very reminiscent of animalistic type behavior. Obviously, everyone in the crew pretty much respects Blackbeard's authority, and they kind of shut him down. But I think Avalo Pizarro considers himself a leader more so than a follower. He's currently following Blackbeard, but that is probably only because he does not have the strength to take him out. And this is why he's called the Corrupt King. But it also actually might explain why he is not wearing prisoner's clothes. He might just be too proud. I mean, cats are very proud creatures. They care about the way they look, and even if he was forced in prison clothes, it's not outside the realm of possibility that he would have found some clothes to change into once he got out of level 6. So that might explain why he actually has clothes that are not prison-like. But I think this all points to Avalo Pizarro having one particular type of devil fruit, and that is a zone-based devil fruit. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I believe he has a zone-based devil fruit, and I think if there's one thing I can be certain of, it is going to be a fruit of the Neko Neko no Mi class, the same class that Rob Lucci has, where he has the leopard version of it. I believe Avalo Pizarro will be one of the other big cats, a stronger version, so to speak. And I think the main ones that are, you can immediately think of as contenders are tigers, lions, but I actually think he's something else entirely because of how far down in this series he's going to be fighting. If he's going to be having an animal-based fruit that is of the cat type, I would expect that he would be probably the strongest cat type that we had ever seen up to that point. And I think Avalo Pizarro will be in Ancient Zone, the Neko Neko no Mi Sabertooth cat. That is my prediction for what his devil fruit will be. Now, obviously, some of these zones could be pegged off during this Kaido arc, but I'm sticking with that because I think it would be the strongest cat fruit of the entire line, and Oda would maybe build up to it as we go, starting with the leopard, then maybe up to the lion or the tiger, and then eventually we get to the saber-toothed cat, which would be the most dangerous of the bunch. And I think Avalo Pizarro in a transformed state would be even bigger than Franky's current height. I think Avalo Pizarro really is one of the strongest physical fighters in the Blackbeard crew. And if you just imagine, a saber-toothed cat enhanced by cyborg technology, with haki and awakening, and he would be huge, he would be monstrous, and he would be terrifying, and he would probably be a really good fight for Franky because as a carnivorous zone, you would expect him to be incredibly dangerous. As we know, carnivorous zones in One Piece have a stronger bloodlust desire than other zones, and he could wail on Franky and his cyborg body in a way that would really showcase his abilities more so than he would on some of the human characters in the crew. So for me, Avalo Pizarro is definitely going to be Franky's opponent, and Franky in particular I think is best for this because just looking at what Oda could do with Franky's powers, I think Franky has two main skills that I'm really looking forward to. Now, the thing about making theories for Franky and what his powers could be is the quite inevitable question of, does it really matter what weaponry he gains? I could say he could get a minigun. That's cool. I could say he could get a jetpack and fly. That's also cool. But at the end of the day, all of them are just as likely as the next. Technology is a power that is so familiar to us because a lot of the things that artists use as basis for technological powers stem directly from what is possible in the real world. And because there's so many possibilities, it's just kind of like, the artist will always pick, what they want to see most when it comes to how these weapons will actually be visualized or represented within the manga. I don't think it's actually particularly important to try and peg down what weaponry Oda will add to Franky's arsenal. I think we'll see it will be very, very reminiscent of what we already expect from a technology-based power. Mechs, transformations, lasers, all of that good stuff. But there's one thing that I want to see Franky actually gain, and it is AI, artificial intelligence. Now, I'm not saying replace Franky's mind with an artificially intelligent creature or something like that. Not at all. I'm thinking of AI more in the sense as it is used in the Halo series with the freelancers, or in the Iron Man, movies with Robert Downey Jr., who has an AI helping him control his Iron Man suits. I'm thinking that Franky could have some seriously high-level tech once he reaches Vegapunk and gets that power up. And he might need a computer-type interface to help him control the finer details of what that tech can do. So I'm actually hoping that Franky gets AI, because then that would lead to an automated motion tracking targeting system in Franky. Something very similar to what the pacifists had when they were able to identify Luffy among the crowd and track his motions even when he was, going gear second. I'm thinking that would be a really awesome skill for Franky to have. And you could throw everything at the door with that. You could talk about thermal imaging, X-ray, night vision, ultraviolet. Whatever you want to do, you could add motion sensors, high-speed object tracking, whatever. Whatever you wanted to add to it, it would allow Franky a better version of observation haki through technology. Because obviously, if we're honest, Franky is not the type of fighter who would gravitate towards observation haki. He's the exact opposite. He's a tank, he's going to gravitate towards armament, but the beauty of his technological based power is that he might not even need observation haki. If he can be integrated with technology that is like basically acting as observation haki for him, being able to sense the environment in a way that human senses just cannot. So I'm really hoping that Franky gets something like that. An AI partner would be really cool to see how Oda would implement something like that. And as we know, Vegapunk is the cutting edge of science in the One Piece world. He's meant to be the technological renaissance of the One Piece world, 500 years ahead of the technology that they have now, because he's just that brilliant. And AI is very pertinent to the way the world is moving right now. People are wondering if it will even be attainable within our century. Some people think it's even a few decades away. So it would be really impressive for Oda to create this, surround Franky's arc around this new technology of artificial intelligence aiding in the control of technology. So that's really my biggest hope for Franky. I'm not going to draw this video out any longer. That's really my matchup. That's my reasoning for the matchup. But what do you guys think? Do you think that Franky is going to get Avalo Pizarro? Do you think Avalo Pizarro, his powers would actually line up with my assessment of them? Or do you think there are stronger reasons for why his power would be something else? Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Franky versus Avalo Pizarro, that is my matchup. Thank you guys for listening. This is Wasabifold, signing out.